Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to TMP Finance, where we make long and short-term investing simple. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ and the stocks around the NASDAQ for today. Now, before we get started with that, I do want to take a look at the fear and greed, because it's been a little while since we last seen it, and currently the fear and greed is sitting still at greed here, so we are in the middle of greed here, and I think that we are still going to go back into neutral. We haven't had that pullback yet. We did have a bit of a pullback last week, but I think we will see one that's a little bit stronger here, just because, again, we were rising up so fast. I think we got to even out, and we passed by neutral, and we were moving out of extreme fear. So I think it's only fair that we spend time in neutral over here for a little while. Let's take a look at the heat map for today as well. For the NASDAQ 100, it is pretty mixed here today. It did finish a little bit in the red here, as we can see. The NASDAQ finished over here at a negative 0.63%. And that's not necessarily bad, but one thing that I don't like here is that we recently had a touch of this rising support line in the NASDAQ here, and we're pretty close to getting another touch, if not touching it right here, right now. So I'm not a big fan of that. I'm also not a big fan of this huge wick that we have here, rejecting off of these higher support lines over here. And we're back into kind of this range that we were in the last week. So it's not great to see that it's not advancing that fast and it's showing some bearish signs. That's just for if you are a long investment trader, long-term trader. If you're a day trader like myself, it makes absolutely no difference if we go up 1,000 points up or 1,000 points down, because we're still going to capitalize on the move here. But if we do take a look at the history of the NASDAQ over here, we can see that around this level here, from around here to up here, the levels being 20,700 to about 21,700, so 1,000 point drop here. There is a big range where the NASDAQ wasn't really able to leave too much. We did make that one all-time high, which is a very weak all-time high, and we came straight back down, crashing down. But this is a very strong support area here, and you can play around in this range here while we're still in it there. So right now, there are a couple possibilities here. Of course, there's still the bullish and the bearish possibilities. Let's talk about the bullish scenario here. I'm saying bullish as long as we're above 21,250 here, and from here you can take a look at taking profit at this next range, or this next stop over here at 21,689. So that is a very safe take profit. I do believe that we will hit all-time highs in the very soon future, even if we do have a pullback. But right now, I do believe that we will have this pullback here, just because if you take a look at how fast the market has been rising, it's been rising faster than it's actually been dropping, especially in other stocks such as nvidia over here, and we will get into that a little bit later. But just take a look at how much we've risen here compared to the time that it's taken to fall that same amount. It's just a little bit off there, so I am waiting for a rebalance of such. Now I will get bearish, especially if we start breaking down this 21,000 line over here. And if we do break this 21,000 line, you can be looking for this line over here at 20,764. Now that is the bottom of the range over here, and that's a very hard support to break. So I do believe that we won't be breaking there, but we will have this other retest of this level over here, or possibly we can have a day where the candle does wick down to one of these support lines over here. Considering that we do have just a few days until this line starts to move past this horizontal support line, I don't think that's going to be a very high chance. Now I will start to get even more bearish, and I will start to look for these lower price targets over here if we do break this rising green line over here. This green line has acted as a very strong support over the past couple years here, and this is the same support that held us up in the bull trend ever since we exited the bear market of 2022. So that is the support line that I'm really looking for, and that I am liking when it comes to some nice balance plays over there. But those are my scenarios over here. You're still staying bullish while we're above this level over here, but do keep in mind that there is a possibility where the NASDAQ comes to rebalance ourselves. Now let's take a look at QQQ over here, just to take a look at the gaps in the NASDAQ. And we can see here that we do have a gap to fill on the south side over here at $493 here per share. So 493, we do have a gap that we can fill there. We also have one in the shorter term over here, which is, it's not as big, but it's more likely to get filled within a short amount of time. You have a gap here from 512 to 514 over here. So that can come and potentially get a fill there. If you do want to place a trade off of that, that's fine, but I do believe that the NASDAQ will be coming back down to this gap, just because this is a very significant gap, and you don't really see gaps of this magnitude go unfilled in the long term here. So that's about a 1.5–2% there. So I do believe that we will get a fill over there as well. Let's people look at other stocks over here. Let's take a look at NVIDIA over here. And NVIDIA, oh my god, we crushed earnings by a crazy amount over here. Let's take a look, because I can't get over these numbers myself here. We had the surprise beat of 10% over here for the earnings, and the revenue did fantastic as well. We beat by over $700 million, so that was fantastic. I think it's no doubt to all investors when NVIDIA showed that it had a very strong earnings report yesterday, and we basically traded off that news, and we had this fantastic trade. Typically, I don't like to trade off the news, but again, I try to keep my positions as safe as possible, and when I saw that we had a resistance level right below us over here as well, I thought it was a no-brainer to take the trade there. So what we ended up doing here, we saw that influx of news, we saw that the market is resisting these lower moves over here, and it's starting to move higher. And that's when we took this buy position on NASDAQ, because NASDAQ and NVIDIA follow each other very, very closely. And we started to target these upper resistance levels over here at 21,700. And very, very simple trade with a great risk reward ratio of about 6 over here. We very, very smoothly took our profit up here. It was 1.77% that we would have made on the chart, but after 9 times leverage, that's 16% that we made within about an hour and 15 since the market's closed from 5 to 6. So fantastic job to all traders who did take that trade. And if you are looking to take trades very similar to this one and a lot more in the future, come take a look at the link in the description, wop.com/tnp-finance. And from there, you'll get access to all the trades that I take, including the stop loss, take profit, and risk level. You'll also be able to get free trading sessions that are one-on-one, and you'll also be able to get, ask me any questions you have within the Discord, and so much more. But if you are interested, take a look at the link in the description. But without further ado, let's return to the rest of the video. NVIDIA has been moving up super fast. We were able to close the gap here that we made by gapping up for the earnings. Not necessarily bad. Sometimes on the day of earnings, pre-market, you'll move up a significant amount, and then the morning after, kind of close these gaps. And it's also good for the bigger institutions as well. You don't have this rush of money, and you can buy back at these lower prices here as well before it starts to shoot up. So not necessarily bearish on NVIDIA per se. I still think that we will make a new all-time high in 2025. However, one thing that does scare me is that if you take a look at NVIDIA over here, we do have a lot of gaps over here. We have a gap to the south side. We have 1, 2, 3 gaps here, 4 gaps actually. So 4 gaps. Now, definitely the first 2 are going to get filled. These lower ones may not, just because there's so many gaps, but I definitely believe that there are better buying opportunities for NVIDIA. You can definitely look for lower price targets here. I believe that 123 is going to be a great place for you to place a trade there and look for a bounce higher to the all-time highs there for NVIDIA. But right now I am holding in cash when it comes to NVIDIA. Also, the same thing is said with Microsoft here. Take a look at this gap that we have in the Microsoft chart. We have a gap of about 7.5%, and we are super far extended from our support level over here as well. So I definitely think that we will get some kind of bearish news in the future, just for a reason for the market for the stock market to come and rebalance right back to the support over here, and that's when we start moving up to, again, all-time highs there. Let's take a look at Apple real quick, and Apple has been bouncing around this kind of range over here, the range being from 213 to about 193 here. So a $20 range over here, and it's starting to compress slowly. But the fact is here, I don't like that today we broke down below the 200 support line over here, the psychological support. I am still very bullish when it comes to Apple in the long term. I definitely think that we will get near our all-time highs by the end of 2025, if not new all-time highs. Apple is doing fantastic. I mean, yes, you do have these bigger institutions that have sold Apple, such as Berkshire Hathaway, but it is still one of the top 3 biggest holdings in the NASDAQ. And that is definitely something that I'm not going to disregard. There are a lot of analysts and professionals who know a lot more than me and you, who are definitely, going to keep Apple afloat there. And $200 a share is still way higher than we were at this time back in 2024 as well. 2024, we took a look at May, we were down to 168, and there's still a lot of fear at that time. People are saying, oh, Apple's going to come back down to, the support level over here at $120 a share. We're going back to 2020 prices or whatever. And then you had this face-ripping rally back up to 260 over here. So don't pay attention to the news. The news is going to manipulate price in general. That's the way the stock market works, and it's going to manipulate your emotions as well. So stay true to the trade plan here, and who cares about all the noise as long as that you're following the charts and you're sticking to your trade plan, there's no way that you're going to fail there as long as you have good risk to reward management as well. But from here, I do believe that we can see at least a shorter time frame price target of 217 over here on Apple. Anyways, y'all, that's a wrap for today's video. Some keynotes to take away is that we are looking for the market to come back to our supports or to fill gaps there. So right now, I would really highly recommend, if you did have a very good position and you bought at a low price, sell your shares now, take a bit of a win there, and look to rebuy back when we are at a lower price there. Because some of these moves are, I'm not going to lie, they are guaranteed that they will see lower figures again. And from there you can make twice as much money, because who doesn't like money, you know? But that's going to be a wrap for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, y'all. Bye.